This is a debate Destiny had with a MAGA nutcase. Destiny's got his problems, obviously. I'm not here to defend what he's done or what he's said or whatever, but the debate was interesting. So let's give it a listen.
You're comfortable with them stripping Rudy Giuliani of his law license?
Rudy Giuliani should go to jail. He went in front of multiple state legislatures and he lied. He went in front of the country and he lied. He fed into one of the largest lies that's been told. 80% of Republicans, probably you included, still think that the 2020 election was a fraud because of lies that he helped perpetuate. And he,
of course, he thinks that.
Admitted that in court. When he was finally sued on these things, he said, yeah, I lied, but it's my First Amendment right to lie.
I couldn't tell you a single thing about any of the stuff that Rudy Giuliani has said
but you have a strong opinion about...
Dude, is this guy's hair shaved down one side and not shaved down the other? Is that what's happening here? I think that's the case. He's literally just got like halfway across his head is shaved.
Him being disbarred.
I have not been fed misinformation because I don't look into any of these things. Central bankers that are behind literally every single thing that happens that's negative about Trump. I'll pose a counter vision of what happened on January 6th. So
you acknowledge that the very first people in were people that broke through the windows. We can watch videos on it if you want.
I don't acknowledge that because
Okay, well, you're wrong.
Don't know.
And how do you have any opinion about this at all?
They were protesting that they were going to certify the election results where
correct.
they...
Well, to stop the steal. What does that mean? Are you familiar with, like, say, like the elector plot?
Like, there were some really long pauses from this guy, and I found it so entertaining how many long pauses he had, because he didn't know how to respond to some of this shit. It was so funny.
The what?
Let's say that that was true.
A dragon could have come and landed on the Capitol if we're just talking about, like, make-believe hypotheticals.
Well, every single thing I just said is, like, beyond verified true. Like, it's not, no one even contests this.
People like Destiny, you know, I watch that guy and he makes me just want to vomit because he sounds smart. He obviously has a raging drug problem. Okay, that guy is eating no food. He is eating lots of uppers and he thinks he's smart because he talks a lot and he's got his brains going brrr. Kick that guy off of his drug.
By the way, just as a
holy Christ, dude.
Heads up, and I know this because of conservative friends I have in the industry, all of these guys do coke like crazy. There's a reason why they're so quick to jump to this. It took me a long time to learn this a long time ago when when Zerka would always accuse me of doing whatever, like Adderall or whatever. I didn't realize at the time, like 5 or 6 years ago, that so many different streamers abused amphetamines too.
Did you just admit to abusing amphetamines?
But yeah, this guy is a druggie, 1 trillion %.
Nah, I think that Destiny takes Adderall, right? Just because he's prescribed to it. He's ADHD, I believe.
That keen to project it. Absolutely.
Binge or whatever, you know, like she's probably on prescription, you know. It's probably just smashing Adderall like it's his job. Take that away and see how smart he sounds, you know? It's very obvious.
Like, it's so funny, like these guys that are new to the scene that, yep, that's me. I just appeared 8 months ago. Yep, wasn't here before.
Now,
you know, there was a popular medicine in Germany in the 30s called Pervitin, and it was meth. That's what it was. It was meth. It was just straight up meth. Everybody was taking it, up to and including Hitler. Eventually, it was banned, but Hitler continued taking it. Anyway, they continued giving it to the army. And, you know, Hitler believed that, like, juiced up supermen on meth would be absolutely impossible to defeat. But it turns out, cognitively and physically, somebody who's been up for, you know, 30 hours makes the exact same mistakes, whether they're on meth or not. Your mind is still in a really bad position because it needs to regenerate. It's just your conscious mind doesn't realize that that's the case. That's the difference. So the generals and the the higher ups, the lieutenants and everything, it was detrimental to them to be taking meth. And the only real side benefit is that they can continue fighting for like indefinite periods of time without having to stop. But again, you make the same mistakes on meth as you would without it. So anyway, I thought it was kind of interesting.
Now you have my full attention.
All right. Do you remember what or do you want to start? Go for it.
Yeah. Oh no. I mean, we could just start with. I I guess we could start with like what I said in the video that I saw that you wanted, well, you were responding to. Essentially, the point that I've been making, actually, I guess my central thesis about everything related to the world now is that there's been like a gravitational atomic bomb that got thrown into every single issue now, which is
Yeah, this guy has half of his head shaved. Why? I don't understand. For the record, I don't know if this is why he did it. I have no reason to think so, maybe, but this is the Nazi haircut. This is the one that they all had. Shaved real short on the sides, even completely shaved bald on the sides, and longer on the top. Again, it's a common haircut. You know, it's not like completely beyond belief that this might be, you know, just a haircut that he decided to get. But here's another example of somebody with a Nazi haircut right here. And the kid has one too, if you look closely. Shaved on the sides, completely. Long on the top. This is Heinrich Himmler with it. This isn't the actual Heinrich Himmler. It's from a prototype or whatever. Here's Peter Thiel with the haircut. Hold on. Here are some evangelicals at an evangelical conference wearing the haircut. I thought I had an image of Richard Spencer with it, but for some reason, I guess I didn't save that image. Anyway, the point is that he's got a very similar haircut to the Nazis. Could be coincidental. Who knows?
Trump. And from my seat, basically, the way that I assess whether or not someone's opinion is one that I should, you know, listen hard to see if I've missed something, because I change my mind all the time. And I watched you with Jordan Peterson. I thought that was a great conversation. But from my perspective, you're one of these guys, like there's a few of you guys where I can just recognize it's like objective, Trump, brain broken. And it's like where.
So they think logically and reasonably until they start talking about Trump. I see.
You guys attribute this like cartoon character villain to him. And like the way that I look at all of this stuff is if you can't understand a person's driving force, why they do things, and then ultimately what the thought process was behind an action that they take, you can't really understand what even happened. And so if you make an incorrect assumption about what a person's intentions were, then every single fact that you're going to look at subsequent to that is going to support an incorrect conclusion. Is that fair? That like if you don't understand, or
Yeah, I agree.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like with Trump, I know so many people now that actually know him, because like a history of my kind of relationship to Trump politically was in 2016. I was appalled that he was president. I couldn't even.
I don't believe him, honestly. When you hear Trump supporters say that they didn't always support him, they used to hate him or something, that's complete bullshit. It's nonsense.
Wrap my brain around it. I was like, I saw it as like an institution that is sacred to the country and all of that stuff. I'm like, you can't just throw people into a role like that. But what I saw after that, as he, you know, started to figure out the job, is that there was this other thing happening, you know, and he started to look a lot more presidential to me while he was in the seat. And then
that is a military haircut. That is why they wear it. It has to be faded in from the short sides to the longer top. I used to give my husband that when I was active duty. So really, the German military haircut, is that what it is? That is super interesting. I did not know that. Later on in this debate, you'll find out that this guy was never associated with the military in any way, shape, or form. So, you know, just kind of pointing that out for what it's worth. That is super interesting. U.S. military, what? Huh, okay. I thought is that the U.S. military haircut? Interesting. How about that? Look at that. Yeah, that's pretty clearly the U.S. military haircut. Very interesting. Okay, well, there you go. There's one more reason people would have that haircut. Richard Spencer, though, and in my opinion, Elon Musk, they definitely have it because, you know, it was a Nazi haircut. Richard Spencer absolutely is openly Nazi. He says, I am a Nazi. So that's obviously why he wears Heinrich Himmler's haircut. Anyway, let's continue.
Simultaneously, as we're watching like all of the million different actions that were being taken against him at the same time, I'm like, oh, okay, so there there's like this really big thing that's incredibly dishonest and, very dangerous to the system, much more dangerous than him. And so like, I can guarantee that you and I could look at an identical set of facts. And if Trump is involved, we will have diametrically opposite conclusions. And it's probably for the same reason, except in reverse, where you see Trump as a cartoon villain, which I know is not true because I know so many people who actually know him personally.
Look, I don't need to know Trump personally. I can look at the things that he audibly says from a microphone and know that he is a horrible piece of trash. I can look at the executive orders that he drafts and see that he is an evil human being. I get, like, I don't know what you think you gain by knowing him personally, but I couldn't possibly care less. Literally impossible for me to give less of a shit.
And I will most likely take, make a conclusion that there is a group of, central bankers that are behind literally every single thing that happens that's negative about Trump. And I'll be right like 70% of the time. You know what I mean?
Okay. I mean, if you want, we could play this game. I can ascribe my internal drive to him. You can ascribe your internal drive to him. And then we can just look at different scenarios and we can see whose offers the greater explanation.
Let's do it.
Yeah, mine is pretty simple. I think that Trump is a raging narcissist. I think that everything he does is in the service of himself. I'll say that.
Beyond a shadow of a doubt. Absolutely.
I think it's a very simple thing. Everything he does is in the service of his ego and to make himself feel better and more hyped up on himself, and that's it. What do you think is the driving force behind him?
Well, I think everybody's driving force in most cases is themselves in one way or another in terms of like, there are people who dedicate a lot of time to charity.
Okay, but politicians' driving force isn't supposed to be about them. That's the thing. They're public servants. When you get elected to Congress, you enter into that position knowing that you have a moral obligation to be the first head that gets cut off if shit goes down. If this turns into a dictatorship, the politicians should be the first ones on the front line fighting against that dictatorship and arguing until they die, until they're killed by the dictatorship. That's part of the deal. It isn't all glamour going on news shows and talking about how much you love your dogs and how great they are and, building up your own reputation, all that shit. It's not all about that. It is also about protecting people, making sure that there's somebody that stands up and fights back against extremism and all of that other shit. So like you said here,
Another in terms of like
everybody's motivation to some degree is their own well-being, selfishness, or no, that's not true. That's not the case at all. My motivation for anything that I do basically is not to further my own goals or interests at all, because before you know it, I'm not going to be here in the first place. Before you know it, we're all going to be dust. So I want to further, let me rephrase. The universe ends when I die. So I want to make sure that everyone else's universe is as good as it can possibly be while they are here. That is my driving goal. That is what I focus on and try to enact and like circle my life around as much as humanly possible.
There are people who dedicate a lot of time to charity. Even that is to make themselves feel better,
No, it isn't at all. Where are you getting this? By the way, Real Pumpkin J, thank you so much for the subs. I really appreciate that. Speaking of charity and altruistic, that's the word, and altruistic stuff.
Or feel good. What I see from Trump is I think that what he wants more than anything else in the world is he wants to be loved, and he wants to be loved universally, and he can't get enough of it. It's like the more people give him positive energy, the better it is for him. And so it's like people ascribe malice to the things that he's doing. Like he's like some kind of dictator tyrant after.
I mean, that's what he's doing right now. Although this video, this debate, I believe this came out before he was elected. So I think it's probably like November or something. When did this come out? October, I think. October 2024.
After power. And all I care about is how has he approached the job of being president? Who is he thinking about as he's proposing policies? And ultimately why. And what I see is he wants to earn the love of the people who are in this country by delivering good outcomes for him. That's literally exactly what I see. Now, it might be
I don't know how you became so delusional to see that, of all things.
due to some kind of like hysterical narcissism where he like needs to be adored and loved, but I don't give a fuck about that. Like if what he is actually doing to try to earn that is going to end up driving good results for citizens in the country, then that's good. That's aces with me. I assume all these politicians are in the head.
Okay, I mean, I think Trump is significantly more than the other ones. I think he's significantly more narcissistic than the other.
I don't think they're all fucked in the head. I think it's, a case by case basis how many politicians are completely fucked in the head.
Ones. I think that people have different leveled interests in terms of being interested in the benefit of their political party or in the benefit of the United States or in the benefit of her citizens. And I think there's a difference between that and just doing things just to benefit yourself. But I feel like you're saying that he wants to be loved universally. I feel like that's a bit reductive because I guess you're saying like even if he's doing charity, he's doing it because he wants to be loved. So I don't know how different our predictions are going to be there because it kind of sounds like we're using a similar internal drive.
Yeah, I mean, that's just not the case with everybody, but this is kind of revealing that it is the case with him, right? Say most of the Republicans are in the head. Yeah, I agree. I don't think that there is a single Republican politician who acts on principle alone. I think that there are some honest Democratic politicians who, whether you like them or hate them, are acting in honest, like in good faith. AOC, Bernie Sanders, whether you like them or hate them, I think that they're good faith, honest actors. They're doing what they're doing because they believe that it's for the best.
I guess.
So even if he's even in your case, if he's a narcissist that's trying to serve himself, what is he trying to accomplish?
He's trying to better his own reputation, even if it's at the expense of the United States. That's the issue. I want to present what's the country first, not himself first.
See, I see it exactly opposite. I think that he wants to. I think he does want to cement his legacy and his reputation, but I see it as
I don't even think he gives a shit about his legacy at this point, truthfully.
That he plans and is trying to do that through improving circumstances and lives in the United States.
I don't know what the hell motivates Trump, honestly. Like, a lot of politicians, they want to cement their the perception that the history books will have about them. They want to make sure that everybody that reads about them in 500 years views them positively and at the very least remembers them. Like, who the was James Taylor and why the do I care about him? He was a nobody. He was technically like a Democratic president, but I know literally nothing about the guy outside of his name. So I think presidents are just trying to kind of build that reputation and that legacy for themselves. But I don't know what the hell Donald Trump's goal is here. Like, what is he doing? I don't believe that he's doing most of this shit because he believes in it ideologically. I don't think that he, really hates gay people. So why is he... I'm not even convinced he hates Mexicans. Why is he doing this? It's really hard to figure out for me, honestly. I don't know. Maybe he does.
Okay.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he does hate all of these people, and it really is about like some greater overarching ideological belief like Hitler, who was a true believer, in my opinion, where he believed that you had to, eliminate all of the non-Aryans to, better the world or whatever the fuck. Who knows?
I mean, if like when I look at well, let me ask you this actually.
Mm-hmm.
What is your viewpoint on the way that the system seems to attack anyone who's around him? Like the people they're throwing in jail.
I think he surrounds himself with a lot of really bad people.
So
obviously. And all of the people that are, quote unquote, thrown in jail, like, for example, Roger Stone, have long histories of having run-ins with the law, of doing really f***ed up stuff. All of these people have this reputation and this history. So it's not just like everybody around Donald Trump is being abused and taken advantage of and mistreated and everything. He obviously surrounds himself with criminals before they even have a run-in with the law around him.
Like all of them.
Yes, all of them. All of them have like criminal histories.
A lot of them, yeah.
Like you're comfortable with them stripping Rudy Giuliani of his law license in New York?
Rudy Giuliani should go to jail. Yeah, absolutely.
See, that's what I'm saying. This is exactly what I'm talking about. That's where, like, from a base perspective, it's like same exact situations. You and I will see it differently because. So here's how I think that the entire system works.
Well, here, wait. Let's go on Rudy Giuliani. Okay. So we don't have to dive into every single thing, but we'll do one particular thing. Okay. So Rudy Giuliani, as part of Trump's whole election fraud thing, he made claims about ballot counting and video camera footage, like in Georgia, right? Giuliani made very specific claims, especially revolving around a lady called Ruby Freeman. He was
ballot boxes or boxes of ballots under the tables. I saw the video.
Yeah. That came from him. Okay. So the video was heavily edited. All the claims about Ruby were false. She took him to civil court afterwards to sue him for defamation. He admitted in civil court that he lied, but it was his First Amendment right to, and he lost that case for $147 million. If he's an attorney representing somebody, you don't think this is grounds for disbarring someone?
It absolutely 100% is. Like, I know that there are a lot of jokes about lawyers being scumbags or whatever, but they are actually like beholden to a lot of expectations, like legal, ethical expectations. My wife is a lawyer now, and it's clear as day that, they have ethical expectations. God, I could not get that flurry rush with him. I don't know why it's so hard to hit that.
I don't know whether or not first of all, I have no idea whether or not those the videos are real or not. That's the world I live in. Is someone can take Rudy Giuliani to court, say that he was
Rudy Giuliani admitted that he was lying. Like, he admitted that all of this was false and that he made all of this shit up. I understand that you don't know, but Rudy Giuliani knew, and he told the world. So you're just not paying attention. Intentionally, I have to assume.
That he heavily edited these and so on and so forth. And I still don't feel like I have even a moderate handle on whether that's true or not. Because the way that I see,
then you believe that Rudy Giuliani is a liar anyway, because he's the one that said that it was all, made up.
All of this is that the powers that are behind the effort to discredit, slander, and ultimately prevent Trump from attaining power again are literally the most powerful people in the entire world.
Please, really?
To where, like Dominion, I don't know shit about
Wait, one thing
nothing.
we'll do. Yeah, one thing at a time. Okay. So the reason why you feel that way is because people like Rudy Giuliani and Donald Trump are trying to make you feel that way.
Obviously, clear as day. Like, they've said it in open court.
Yep.
No, the reason I feel that way is because for 3 years, you got to remember, dude, I was on your team.
No, he wasn't. People say this shit. They were never actually on anybody's team. They were always on the Trump train. They're trying to make themselves seem reasonable. Something you'll notice through this entire debate is this one strategy that he uses. He wants to make you think that he's the most middle of the road, center, good faith, honest-hearted person who's just trying to get to the truth ever. But as you go through, you'll find that, like, the whole thing is a strategy to get you to move to the center. I don't know if there was election cheating in 2020. Rather than saying there was election cheating in 2020, like he really believes, makes people a little bit more open to the possibility that maybe he's good faith and maybe he's right and they'll concede it for the sake of argument or whatever else. This is why in these types of debates, you can't give an inch unless it's real, unless there is real reason to accept what he's saying.
Nope.
Initially.
No, you're not. I promise.
I hated Trump.
I don't hate Trump. I just hate everything he stands for. I don't hate him because I hate Trump. I believe very much in American values, in American institutions, in American democracy, and what this country is supposed to stand for. These are the reasons I don't like Trump. Not if you support Trump. If you support Trump, you are fundamentally un-American and don't believe in American values, for reasons we can get into in a bit. But if you want, real quick, it's absolutely true. If you want, I shot you a link on Twitter. I don't know how much of this you want to run through, but I can explain it to you also if you want. But
we don't need to go through it.
Okay.
This is what I'm saying is like any of these things where we get into the facts is like the way that I look at guys specifically, you, Sam Harris, Bill Maher. guys who I think are smart, excellent at structuring arguments.
Bill Maher and Sam Harris are borderline right wing. In fact, I would argue they are right wing, but they're famous for having been left wing at one point. And I can only imagine that he's picking these examples because he wants to seem less right wing to everybody. He's trying to make everyone think that his positions are the more reasonable positions. He is a really good debater, actually. And it makes me wonder, like, how he got so good at debating.
Great at debating.
Like, who is this guy?
Walk people into traps. Very good at,
You're describing what Rudy Giuliani has done to people like you. Is good at structuring arguments and walking people into traps.
I literally I couldn't tell you a single thing about any of the stuff that Rudy Giuliani has said.
See, this is what I'm saying. He wants to act like he's middle of the road, like he has no idea what's going on. He's just independently formed these opinions and conclusions on his own with absolutely no influence from any of the Trump people. And, he's trying to make it seem like he's reasonable when he's absolutely not, obviously.
Well, but you have a strong opinion about him being disbarred, and I'm telling you that he said that he lied about Ruby Freeman, and he did. You can watch their original presentation to the Georgia Senate. You can see where they skip at 20 minutes in the video to hide the fact where the ballots are put underneath that table, because I already know what video you've seen. It was the one that was published by OAN. You think you've seen a video of ballots being pulled mysteriously under a table.
Oh, I have no idea what the video is that I saw.
Okay.
Yeah, totally. I bet.
I know which one it is because
I know what the video is, but I don't. Whatever impression you have of whatever this kind of massive group of people that you think are like Trumpers or whatever, and how they interpret information, I promise I don't fall into those boxes.
Oh yeah, I bet. Absolutely. That's why he repeats like all the shit that Trump and Giuliani and all these other people say, right? I mean, verbatim. He's repeating, not like giving us a summation of the ideas again. I mean, like word for word repeating exactly what they say.
Well, then why do you think it's bad that Giuliani might be disbarred?
Because the guy he's the mayor of New York.
So
the guy put the entire New York mafia in prison.
So
yeah, so like Eric Adams is a mayor of New York too, and he's a complete sack of shit.
And no one ever broke his balls about anything until he started standing next to Trump. I mean,
they broke his balls about stuff all the time. He was very clearly a criminal sack of shit, like long before he was associated with Trump. It's just he had a really good reputation because he was the mayor of New York City during 9/11.
Maybe when he was doing the RICO stuff and putting people in prison, maybe he wasn't breaking the law then, or acting in unlawyerly conduct. Maybe he did do that under Trump. Is that possible?
Are we going to pretend that we live in a world where high-powered individuals just get prosecuted for things that they may or may not have done that's bad? That's the whole point. Is like they convicted Trump of a 34-count indictment.
Okay, so he's arguing that it is always political theater when a politician is charged with a crime or accused of something or whatever. That's his argument here. That's what he's telling us. It is always political theater because powerful people never get prosecuted. So if it's happening, it's obviously a lie. I wonder if he feels the same about Hillary Clinton's accusations or whatever.
34 felonies.
Just stay on Giuliani. Just one thing at a time.
But it's the same thing.
It's not. Well, it is the same thing. You've been fed misinformation, and you want to think that everything is the same as everything else. And so,
I haven't been. What I'm telling you is, I have not been fed misinformation because I don't look into any.
Yeah, totally. I believe you. Absolutely.
Of these things strongly. I look at the outcomes and I go, oh, all right. So, I know about this story. None of them faced any type of problems whatsoever. But this guy's standing next to Trump, whether he did anything wrong or not, they will try to destroy him, bankrupt him, ruin his reputation, take away his law license, and literally leave him rotting in a cell if that's what they decide to do.
He deserves it, though. He lied. He went in front of multiple state legislatures and he lied. He went in front of the country and he
lied under oath. Specifically, he lied under oath. He perjured himself over and over and over again in an attempt to orchestrate a coup on the U.S. government, to assist in an insurrection on the U.S. government. And the insurrection didn't work the first go around.
He lied. He fed into one of the largest lies that's been told. 80% of Republicans, probably you included, still think that the 2020 election was a fraud because of lies that he helped perpetuate. And he admitted that in court. When he was finally sued on these things, he said, yeah, I lied, but it's my First Amendment right to lie. And he lost those cases. Like, it's all a lie.
Well,
but you think that it's all the same in your mind for no reason, though. Why?
It is all the same. It is all the same. Like on Rudy Giuliani, again, I haven't even looked. I know none of this stuff.
But you have an opinion.
Then you shouldn't be debating on it. And he does have an opinion on it, as Destiny says. But this guy absolutely does 100% totally know all of this information. He absolutely knows it all. Based on the things that he says, the arguments that he lays out, into the areas that he avoids, like the subjects that he avoids, he absolutely knows what he's talking about. He knows all of this shit.
You think it's wrong that he's being disbarred?
I think it's an example of something that is happening constantly to anybody who is around Trump.
Maybe
Yeah, like he said, if somebody is rich and powerful in any way, to any degree, it is always unfair. If they are being prosecuted, it is always unfair.
a lot of them, maybe Trump surrounds himself with bad people and liars because Trump is a bad person and liar.
Incredibly powerful people who are leveraging every institutional way that they can bring the government, the legal system down on a person that they do not want in the presidency. And maybe, they control the media also. They did nothing. But
who the f is they anyway?
Pump out and continue to.
What you're describing, what you're describing is what Trump does. He tries to take down everybody that he doesn't like. He's threatened every single Republican lawmaker who doesn't buy into his agenda. He'll say, "We're not going to help you in your reelection." He said it on the.
That's absolutely true. So the dude is saying he's complaining about this thing, but completely ignores it when Donald Trump is doing it.
Called a Raffensperger. I was a schmuck for helping Kemp win his election in Georgia. He threatened Fox News. That's why they started to run all the Dominion bullshit from Sidney Powell, is because Trump said he's not going to go on Fox News anymore. He's attacking them now because they're not. Remember after they called Arizona and he started going off on Fox? Like, Trump does everything that you're describing. Every single thing you're describing is what he does. That's his playbook. But you're pretending that the Democrats do it.
I'm not talking to Democrats. I don't see this. I don't see the world as Democrats, Republicans.
Please.
I think that is the mechanism that the people who actually run the world use to ensure that they have vice grip control over anyone who's going to sit in any type of office that can pull strings globally. I think that Trump slipped in the back door because they thought he couldn't beat Hillary Clinton. He won, and they were like, what the fuck? He won't listen to anybody. He's doing things his own way because he's Trump. They start wigging out. They're like, we need to get this guy the fuck out of here. And the way that I ended up changing my mind and deciding that the bigger kind of threat to what I see as American values, America in general, which is I see America as the citizens of the country. That's all I see America.
Absolutely. I bet. There's no ulterior motive. There's no bad faith. 100%.
As is when I listen.
And you're just dumb as dog shit, right? That's all. You're just dumb as dog shit. You have no fucking clue what is happening around you at any given moment. No idea what the country is up to or what these people are up to that you support. You have no clue how connected Donald Trump is to Jeffrey Epstein or how much Giuliani lied under oath, admittedly. You're just totally in the dark. You're just explaining what you see. That's all. Right.
I literally watched and read every single thing about the Russia collusion case.
Could have fooled me. Based on how completely unknowledgeable about anything you are, I would have assumed you didn't know shit.
For 3 years, literally for 3 years. And I was watching it just going, he's finished. Like, he is going to get buried. And knowing at the same time that if the conclusion of this investigation that Mueller's putting together is not him being indicted for the things that they're saying, then there is a completely different world that we live in.
How do you indict a sitting president? How do you put one in jail? You can't.
Because MSNBC has been saying this as facts. If even like,
how do you feel about? Well, let's say that's true then.
Like, all that shit was true about Russia. It was all 100% absolutely true. Just because he didn't go to jail for it doesn't mean that it was false. Let me show you. I'm gonna pull this up. I'm gonna pull up a clip here. Hold on. Wait a second here. Hold on. I don't know if you guys remember this, but Donald Trump betrayed the United States to Russia, like gave over power. It was really crazy with this.
People came to me, Dan Coates came to me, and some others.
Dan Coates, the head of his intelligence community.
Said they think it's Russia. I have President Putin. He just said it's not Russia. I will say this. I don't see any reason why it would be. I have great confidence in my intelligence people, but I will tell you that President Putin was extremely strong and powerful in his denial today. And what he did is an incredible offer. He offered.
The point is that Trump admitted that Russia interfered in the U.S. election in 2016 to get Trump elected, interfered on his behalf, like right there in front of everybody. And he threw America under the bus. I remember watching this. It was such a disturbing moment to see. Like, it felt like we had fully given over to Russia in that moment. It was bizarre to watch, like disturbing and bizarre. Anyway, Rachel Maddow, this is part of the quote unquote Russia investigation or whatever. This is the coverage of the Russia stuff.
All right, first, deep breath. Not that deep. This was a big day. Let's just talk about what has just happened. And let's talk about it with the full and complete expectation that more of it may yet happen while we are talking tonight. Things are at a boil. Things are going fast now. This is a time when everybody needs to pay attention. Here's why we have covered this story so intensely. Since it first became clear that there was something wrong and illicit and unexplained about the relationship between this particular foreign adversary and the unlikely rise of this unlikely politician who shocked everyone by winning the last US presidential election. I mean, there was no explicable reason why, as a presidential candidate, he would step with such excruciating care to avoid ever saying anything remotely negative or critical about Russia and its president. There was no explicable reason why he would dig out of the vault a campaign chairman who had not worked in American politics for more than a generation, but he had spent more than the past decade doing Vladimir Putin's political bidding overseas in the former Soviet Union. There was no explicable reason to name a guy quite recently and quite literally caught up in a Russian spy ring in New York as one of his 5 foreign policy advisors, when this was a guy nobody had ever heard of. There was no explicable reason why he wouldn't brag that on the day of one of the early Republican presidential primary debates, that very day he had signed a letter of intent to build the tallest building in Russia.
Oh, I thought it was the end of the video. I wasn't sure. So the point is, Trump was deeply invested in Russia and was very clearly working with them, like clear as day, doing whatever it was that they wanted. And it's like, it was so disturbing at the time. This, like this Russiagate thing is 100% real. It was absolutely 100% real.
How do you feel about the fact that nothing came out of Hillary's emails?
You mean Hillary's acid wash server, you mean?
Oh my God, I love it when people say this shit. God, it's so stupid. I'm sorry. I'm going to go through the whole explanation, okay? You know why they say her servers were acid washed? Because, well, first of all, there was nothing of real value in her servers. It was like she was using her own Gmail address, for example, for like communicating with like, you know, certain people. It really wasn't a big deal. Like it wasn't questionable or insane or any of that shit. It was way bigger deal than everybody made it out to be. And like a couple years later, Ivanka Trump did the exact same thing, identical, and Jared Kushner and others. So all of this crying that these people did over this nonsense, it was all trash all along. But here's the bottom line with it. When things started going nuts and all of the heat went up on her emails stuff, she decided to delete them. Now, should she have? I don't know. There was nothing really criminal about what she did anywhere along the way. She was trying to avoid a political firestorm that would rain down on everybody if she allowed her emails to be searched by Donald Trump and his team. So she deleted them. And I think that was a fine, I think that was probably the best decision, especially in hindsight, looking at, our situation now. But it didn't really matter because her emails were leaked anyway by WikiLeaks. And that is where QAnon came from. That's how QAnon started. But like Trump nutcases combing through her emails and finding shit like them talking about getting cheese pizza together and claiming that cheese pizza is shorthand for child entertainment for adults that contains children in it. I don't know how else to say this in a more friendly way, but the point is that they created conspiracy theories out of this like you wouldn't believe. So it didn't really matter if she released her emails in the end because they were released. Anyway, when she deleted her email server, she used a program called BleachBit. She did the standard Department of Defense expectation. When you clear off classified information off of anything, you overwrite it 7 times with zeros. Because when you delete a program in a computer, it's not actually deleting that program. It's just removing the pointer that points to where that program was and marking it as empty space. So when, another program comes along and wants to fill that space on your hard drive next, it just overwrites what was there previously and continues on. And that's it. If my hard drive dies and I don't have access to like Windows is dead, everything is dead, but there's special information on my computer that I really needed access to, I can use a program. It used to be Norton Ghost. I don't know what it is today, but there's software you can use to plug your hard drive into like a USB port and run this program on it, and it will index all of the files that it finds, like all of the little headers that are linked to the beginnings of files. Some of them will be too like fragmented and destroyed to use. Some of them will be usable and you can like restore them, or you can restore them partially. Certain Word files, you can save like the first 500 words of it or whatever, that kind of thing. That's generally how it works. So anyway, the Department of Defense standard is to overwrite 7 times. Well, they have software for this. It's called BleachBit. And the idea is it overwrites it 11 times, and then you're supposed to take a mallet and physically crush the hard drives. Like for magnetic drives, you're supposed to like smash them with that mallet before throwing them away or whatever. That's what Hillary Clinton did with her hard drives. She just did the Department of Defense standard. But Trump, having no fucking clue what he's talking about or how any of this works or any of it, says she bleached her hard drives, literally bleached them. Like she took the hard drives and she soaked them in bleach. And that morphed from Trump claiming that she bleached her hard drives to this guy saying she acid washed them. Hilariously, because bleach is a base, not an acid. So literally nothing that he just said is correct. Norton Ghost is still used. Oh, okay. That's cool. Wow. That program has longevity, man. That shit's been around since I was a teenager. Anyway, it's so funny. And it's a microcosm of the real issue, isn't it? Like Donald Trump says something that he doesn't understand at all, and somebody warps it into something completely meaningless. And it just carries on from there. It's so wild to watch. Shows you the scientific literacy of the average right-winger as well as their tech literacy. Right, exactly. It's absurd. Oh my God. I'm so entertained by how stupid it is, though.
Yeah, you mean like Trump's campaign party, his association with Roger Stone, who is associated with the person who hacked Hillary's DNC email server, the Guccifer 2.0? I mean, we can both play that game, but I'm asking.
Right, I understand Hillary. So it was her Democratic committee email address. And to my knowledge, I don't think that there was anything like classified on there, but being a State Department actor, like she could have discussed classified stuff. I'm not even sure. You're going to have to look into it again, but it doesn't even matter. Like, who gives a shit? It's completely irrelevant. Nobody should have even cared then because it was just a fucking email server. Like, honestly. Jesus Christ. Email, by its nature, is not secure. You should not be using email for anything classified ever, no matter what, period, bottom line. And you should never trust email addresses. You should never click links in emails. Like, this is real basic shit. There's nothing communicated that is classified through email. And if it is, then people are morons. Email doesn't have a security layer. And even if it did have a security layer, I think some email can have security layers. Even if it did have a security layer, it's irrelevant because anybody can send you an email address from any other email address. I can email people from like owenmorgan@youtube.com if I want. It's super easy. Just get a mail routing program, command line, literally everywhere, and send an email. You can fill in the header data yourself. It's not hard. Literally take me like 2 minutes to download the program. Anyway, the point is that email is not secure and should never ever be used for transmitting secure information. So I would honestly be surprised if there were anything classified in those emails of hers. Like I said, we can find out. They were leaked by Guccifer 2.0, as Destiny is about to say. Leaked by Guccifer 2.0, a Russian hacker, given to Roger Stone, who then gave the emails to WikiLeaks. And Roger Stone got in a ton of legal trouble for that. Was even going to spend time in jail for it, to my knowledge, because it was like an Espionage Act type of deal, where he was working with like a recognized adversary or something. I don't even remember. And Donald Trump like pardoned him. Or I'm not sure he pardoned him, but he gave him clemency. So he went to prison for like a day, and then Trump like gave him clemency to let him get out or something. I don't even remember now.
Did you feel the same way? Did you feel the same level of resentment when nothing came out of all the Hillary stuff as you did out of the Trump stuff?
Look at this. Look, this thing is standing on its corner. This is something that could never happen literally in the real world, but in the Zelda world it can. That's cool.
Wait, the level of resentment well, the Hillary stuff is that she had a private server, and when it got subpoenaed, she acid washed it as opposed to turn it in.
It's so stupid. Acid washed it. She had a private email server, but she didn't communicate classified information on it, to my knowledge.
Hillary Clinton is the scariest person ever. That is literally the last enemy I have respect for.
Oh, please.
For. She's probably one of the most powerful women to ever live. But she is a vindictive, incredibly powerful person that I even get nervous talking about her too much on the internet. But
this dude is such a joke. Seriously. I get scared talking about Hillary Clinton on the internet too much. Really? The conspiracy theories about her are wild. They are wild. Do you know why people hate her in the first place? Because she vocally stood up for feminist causes, specifically in where was it? Was it Arkansas or was it Alabama? I don't remember. Anyway, she was the first lady. Bill Clinton was the governor of this state, and she was the first lady. And she stood up for feminist causes vocally, and the reporters fucking hated her when he would give like a press briefing or whatever, and she would like speak on something on feminist issues. They would trash her relentlessly. That's where her reputation started being destroyed. Hillary Clinton is honestly one of the most competent and capable and intelligent people maybe on planet Earth, truthfully. I would trust Hillary Clinton to pretty much do anything at this point in the political realm, certainly, because she's so incredibly well-informed and competent. And she was right about everything. If you go back and you look at it, like, I didn't like Hillary. I thought she was a scumbag and everything, but look at the things that she said and did. She predicted this exact shit. She predicted this. Everything.
She had a private server where who knows what's on it. I don't like to speculate, but she acid washed it as opposed.
Well, you do know what's on it because QAnon was formed out of their discussion about going to get cheese pizza, really.
To turn it into the people who are trying to investigate her. It's pretty gangster that she could do that and not face any consequences. But the hacked emails, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Like, they'd be pretty stupid to be talking about any kind of like nefarious criminal stuff through a server that's shared by her entire campaign.
Yeah, exactly. There is nothing like questionable or crazy or whatever in these emails. It was just them talking about getting pizza together and stuff. Honestly, Jesus Christ, dude.
Okay, well, I'm not even sure what to say. I think it's incredibly sad that I feel like half the country, you included, has just been completely wiped away by the Trump brainwashing stuff. You're
absolutely 100%.
You're just factually completely ungrounded. You're off in outer space right now in terms of like the things that you believe. We can go through any individual particular case if you want. I could talk to you about the entire Hillary thing from start to finish. I can talk to you about how there are standard procedures to wipe servers, including the destruction of devices. I can talk to you about how you don't even care about the fact that she had a private email server, because I bet that you've never talked about the fact that Donald Trump and his people were using private phones and emails, but Republicans never care when it happened.
Yep, absolutely. They did the exact same shit. And they did it even worse than Hillary, like by a mile and a half, because what Hillary did wasn't even illegal. She's just using private campaign email address. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing classified in any of that shit. But Donald Trump and Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner and all of them, they were actually using like burner phones and shit. So it's just completely full of shit.
I mean, we can go through any one of these things in detail if you want, and I promise you, you will be wrong on every single thing. But it's up to you what you have the patience for.
I guarantee
Yeah.
that regardless of what topic that we talk about, if Trump is involved, your conclusion will always be the same. Like whether you know this about yourself or not, this is a fact.
Yeah.
If Trump jaywalked in New York and a person got hit by a car across the street, Attorney General filed aggravated manslaughter charges against Trump because he's a famous person and he should have known that if he crossed the street without using the sidewalk, that people could get killed. So that's what we're doing. You would be on here supporting an aggravated manslaughter charge because the dude jaywalked.
No, I wouldn't. Destiny wouldn't. I'm 99.5% sure this is just complete nonsense.
That's you hate it.
So your defense here is Trump derangement syndrome. You're just saying everybody has Trump derangement syndrome. That's your defense to this absolute nonsense.
Like, you guys hate him. And if you say you don't hate him, I disagree with you.
I mean, I think he's un-American, and I think he's a threat to the order of the United States. Like, I think he's historically bad for the country, and I think that he's bad for what this country represents. I think that people like you have a greater allegiance to Trump than any part of the United States. That's a
ridiculous. You know nothing about my politics at all. That's completely not true. That's just fundamentally not true at all.
Okay.
At all.
Do you think that
like I'll give you an example of here's how I see America. Perfect example. Brittany Griner is arrested in Russia, and you have a lot of conservative retards that are like, let him have her. Let him have her. I'm like, are you out of your fucking mind? She's an American, and she's in a Russian gulag. And
okay, wow, you have impressed me with your ability to care about other people. Good job. Wow.
She's being held as a political prisoner. She's American. Like, we can argue about whether her views are stupid or not when she gets home, but I will always have her back because she's American and she's being held, again, as a political pawn in Russia. Like, to me, Americans are America. And what I'm saying is, like, and I'm sure you're sick of talking about the firemen, but like, this is your guys' issue, is you've attributed so much villainy to Trump that a thing like
we're not even, I don't give a shit about villainy. We're not talking about villainy. Let's talk about the shit that he has actually done, not attributing villainy. He has done monstrously evil shit. It's inexcusable.
A father firefighter, a guy who goes fishing on Saturday, a guy who, doubles as a church cleric or whatever, can be at a rally with his family having a good time, and a minute later he can get shot in the face and his...
Okay, I think he's talking about... I'm sorry, hang on. Let me adjust this. When Trump was at his rally and that shooter took a shot at him or whatever, and that firefighter got hit. I'm not sure exactly which comments he's referring to specifically, but that firefighter died, and Destiny said he had no sympathy for him, basically. And let's just listen to another minute here, and I'll give my thoughts.
Daughters actually see their father's blown up corpse in front of them.
This is another propaganda method to get people emotionally invested in something by like describing it in way more detail than is necessary or than is probably even real, like, were the kids even there? Were they even looking at what was going on? Did they understand what was happening? Did somebody pull them away? Like, you have no idea. And he's just making shit up to make people care more, but whatever. Okay. Anyway, here's how I feel about Trump nutcases and like their bad fortune. I don't want anybody to suffer. I don't want anybody to like get hurt or to like lose loved ones or whatever. I don't want that. But Trump supporters do want that. specific, like MAGA nutcases, the types of people that go to Trump rallies, do want suffering. They want to see people get hurt and die because they're gay, for example, or whatever. So I'm going to stick to my principle of never wanting anybody to get hurt or die, but I'm not going to cry when I read your obituary. And, you know, as with Alex Jones, for example, he caused so much untold suffering in innocent people's lives that my sympathy has gone negative now. It's like, it's no longer sympathy, and it's kind of rolled back around to enjoyment, or damn near it. So I don't want anybody suffering and dying, but, you know, I'm not going to cry when I read the obituary. It's the bottom line.
And it makes sense to you that that guy is not worthy of empathy because he was a Trump supporter.
No, he's worthy of empathy. Everybody's worthy of empathy, but he has expressed an interest, that specific guy apparently, in like people's death, in hoping that certain people would die. That's just like, I'm sorry, like you have exempted yourself from me feeling sorry for you if that's what you say and do, if those are the things that you believe and how you feel.
Not any of those other things. That's what I'm talking about. Is like when people say the Trump derangement syndrome thing, that's what they're talking about.
Trump supporters have spent their entire lives of Trump in office, the past 8 years, making fun of or going after George Floyd, BLM victims, anyway, Paul Pelosi. That guy, yeah, he tweeted out some dumb shit as well. Yeah, about the Japanese will get over the fucking nuclear bombs. I would save Putin over 3 other like Democratic politicians or whatever. Like,
so he deserves to have his face blown up over his daughters.
Deserving to have.
Yeah, no one said that he deserved it necessarily. We're not talking about who deserves what. Again, I don't want suffering for anybody for any reason ever, but I'm not going to cry when I read the obituary. This is like 100% of this is his doing, basically. He put himself in the position to be a political target and to raise the temperature to a degree where political assassination attempts are likely in the first place, and encourage people to do shit like that by saying all this stuff. I don't think that anybody should live in fear of that, but I'm not going to feel sorry for you.
Have your face blown up is different than somebody not having sympathy for something happening to him. Those are two different things. Somebody deserves to die at a political rally or anything, obviously. But like having sympathy for a side that has continued to ratchet up the temperature and lead to the destruction of the country.
It's a dude.
It is literally a side that dude defined himself as part of. I understand you want to pretend that you're not part of a side or that you don't have any sides or whatever other stupid shit you're trying to like lay down for us. But everybody else in the real world has sides, and he defined himself as on that side and me on this side. And he fucking hates my side. So you can say there are no sides all you want, but that's not how reality works. Sorry.
It's a single dude. That's what I'm saying. I do not see the world like you, and it has nothing.
Well, he does. He does.
To do with Trump or whatever. If Trump disappeared tomorrow, my view of America would be identical. Like, to me, that's an American father who is at a rally with his daughters, who tried to save his kids, and he got murdered in front of his kids. I have 3.
Yeah, I don't know what he's talking about or if any of this is true or whatever, but again, no sympathy.
3 daughters. I don't even think I could.
I have as much sympathy for him as he would have for me, for something happening to me like that. I don't wish it upon him, unlike him for me, but I'm not going to sit here and cry over it.
Accurately describe the level of trauma that would lead. It would destroy their lives. It would destroy my children's lives, these innocent little babies. If that was something that they saw, that's the end of their father getting his face blown up on top of them. And
again, Marjorie Taylor Greene does this too. Julius Streicher, the editor and writer for the Daily Stormer. No, I'm sorry, for the Der Stürmer. It was what was called a race baiting newspaper in Germany. He used to do this shit too. He'd get up there on stage and he would describe in vivid detail vile shit, like fake stuff, like things that Jewish men were doing to Aryan women, you know, in like breaking into their homes and taking advantage of them. And it was like fake and disgusting simultaneously. It's the exact shit that it's propaganda. It's nonsense.
it's like, if you can't find empathy in that, like where you're like, man, I mean, it means you've dehumanized the supporters, and you keep saying like this side. He's a guy. Like he's just a guy who probably just watches a different channel than you do.
Yeah, it's not
No, he's not. He's defined himself as on the other side.
just watching a different channel. Like your side is involved in the destruction of this country, like the actual
80 million,
destruction of this country. Yes, however many people are supporting Donald Trump, who is an
Yes, absolutely.
un-American, treasonous president. Yes, are leading to like the destruction of this country. Yes, absolutely.
And the 80 million people on this side see the identical situation on the other side.
Yeah, but the difference is those people are idiots.
You know, this disturbs me right here, the thought of it sometimes. I mean, not really, but it has disturbed me in the past. Like, this guy, he's right. People on his side of the aisle view things the exact same way that Democrats are destroying the country and they're like destroying everything. They're destroying democracy. And they aren't 100% sure. They are 110% sure that they are right about this and you are wrong. So it's like, how do you know? How do you objectively for sure know that your side is right and theirs is wrong? And the answer that I've concluded is looking at how many lies are told by each respective side. How many lies did Obama tell? How many lies did Biden tell? Versus how many lies did Trump tell? How many human rights did Trump take away versus how many human rights were taken by Biden? That's how I determine if I'm on the right side. My gauge is kind of human rights. And I've come to find that it's pretty clear. You're like, I don't even have to try. Just taking a glance at it and I can tell which side is objectively more evil if we're gauging evil on causing more suffering in the world. Like anti-abortion people objectively, factually lie constantly to further their own goals. Pro-choice people do not do that. Certainly not to the same degree. It's lies and like setting out to hurt people. It's an ends justify the means mentality. It doesn't matter what means you use to get to a final destination. The end that you're reaching for is justified to get there. That mindset is toxic as fucking shit and needs to be like exposed and called out for the disgusting evil that it is. Ends justify the means mentality. Jehovah's Witnesses have the same perspective on things in a lot of ways. Ends justify the means. We need to eliminate that from our public discourse. The idea that it's okay to do certain things that are morally wrong if it furthers the goals of the movement or whatever. Anyway, tell me what you think about it in the comments. This is just wild to me.